Hi everyone, welcome to my green closet. So I was not planning on filming a video today, but then this showed up on my YouTube feed and I thought that we could maybe watch it together and I would react to it because based on the thumbnail, I definitely feel like I'm going to have a few things to say. But before we jump into it, I do first want to say that it makes me extremely excited to see large platforms and big creators talk about sustainable fashion. It is definitely something that needs to go mainstream. So any critiques that I may have are for educational purposes. I do really love that people are talking about these topics. But with something like Clevver Style, who made this video, it isn't just one person sharing their personal journey. They have a whole team of people creating videos. So I am hoping that we are going to see some good information and hopefully a well-researched video. So some of the things that I'm really hoping this video includes is some good information about why sustainable fashion is so important. And I'm also hoping that we see a good variety of styles and brand recommendations. So let's see what we got.
Hello, and this is our very couture.
Keeping a ton of clothing out of landfills, like that is such a big issue.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy to think that these dresses were made out of someone's jeans. My perspective has totally changed about sustainable fashion.
Okay, so that's exciting to see that right in their little intro teaser, she's talking about how her perspective has totally changed. So that gets me very excited about this video and hopefully what it's going to do for people's perceptions and perspectives about sustainable fashion.
Hello, internet friends, and welcome back to Clevver Style.
What's up? Hey, we do a lot of fashion. Hello, our name is literally Clevver Style.
Yeah, and you know, we read a lot of your comments on the videos, and a lot of you guys have been talking about how you want to see us do more sustainable fashion and not always fast fashion.
Okay, I want to stop right there again because that is super cool to see. They are doing this video because viewers have been requesting it and have been talking about how they focus so much on fast fashion. I know it's very easy to feel like with all of the digital chatter and clutter that your comment won't get heard, but they do, and I think this is great proof of that, where people reaching out to creators, reaching out to brands, reaching out to platforms like this and asking for more sustainable fashion does actually work.
We're doing that today, and we're doing it from a bunch of different stores with a bunch of different price points.
And actually, surprisingly enough, a lot of the stores that we do shop at have sustainable options, which I didn't know until today.
I really like that they are focusing on different price points. I'm very curious what they're going to use for the lower price points. And I am hoping that they do also touch on the fact that secondhand shopping is very affordable and sustainable. So we'll see if that comes up.
We're learning every day, but we're always going to give you our honest opinions about how we feel about the clothing.
From what I see back here, I think we have a lot of really good, like, trendy looking stuff.
Okay, enough talk. Let's go try on some stuff. Look, there are tons of places to get secondhand clothing. There's like Depop, Poshmark, all of that. But if you guys just want to look for like Levi's stuff specifically, they have a website just for this type of stuff. And if you guys bring them your old Levi's, they basically professionally clean them and then they will resell them, and they will also give you a gift card just for like being awesome and bringing them your old stuff.
Yeah, it feels new too. You know that like new jacket feel? It feels nice and crisp.
But to that point, they are also lived in, so they do have that like already worn feel, but in a good way, because it's like, it's not like you have to break it in.
Okay, so they are touching on secondhand clothing, which is awesome. I would have loved, though, if they mentioned maybe a tiny bit about why secondhand clothing is so sustainable, but they are focusing only on Levi's. So a lot of brands have take-back programs, which is really great to see. However, and we will probably get into this a bit later, some of them aren't the most sustainable, but I think brands that are taking back their own clothes for recycling or resale is great because they know exactly the fiber construction, they know the quality. Now, Levi's is a bit of a tricky brand for me because many people do classify them as a sustainable brand because they are doing some interesting things around reducing water use in their dyeing process and a few other things, which is really cool to see. But without getting into it too much, they also have a lot of things that they still need to be working on, especially around ethical manufacturing. One thing that I would say is a big pro for them though, is they do make a good quality product that can be, you know, used for a long time and resold, like in this example. So I think that is a huge sustainability pro. And I've talked about this a lot before, where even if you can't find a sustainable brand or you can't find a secondhand option, buying good quality pieces is still a sustainable choice because they are going to last a long time. You can have them for years. But I do wish that they maybe would have chosen a different brand other than Levi's.
It's $150, and the jackets can go from like $40 to like $300.
It can be a lot to pay for secondhand clothing, especially Levi's, because I feel like you can probably find Levi's at a thrift store, but it is an easier way to get Levi's jeans. You can get the products that you want without having to dig through a thrift store rack. So there is a convenience factor there for sure.
And I feel like denim and jeans, like that is just something that will truly never go out of style. So like, why not just keep buying secondhand? Keeping a ton of clothing out of landfills, like that is such a big issue with fashion these days.
Yes, okay. I'm so glad that she brought that up. It is a huge issue. We are sending an insane amount of clothing to the landfill. I want to give you guys an example, which I learned about just today. There is a woman in my city who started a new business picking up clothes that thrift stores can't sell. And she said that she picks up about 800 pounds of clothing from one thrift store in 1 week. Like, that is insane to me. So imagine all of the excess from all the stores. It is completely mind-blowing the amount of clothing that is just going to waste.
I love that each of these are like kind of customized.
Yeah, I know. I've been waiting to point this out. Turn around. Just,
I don't know.
I need to know the backstory to this.
And I
back.
Wait, what? That is an awful stain. And they bought that from the Levi's store? I think they said the cheapest item was $35, and that is a pretty bad stain for $35. I feel like if Levi's is gonna do a take back upcycling thing, put a cool patch or design on the back to cover that up, or do some dyeing or something. But selling a product like that, and then for them to buy a product like that to promote, it just feels like you're giving secondhand clothing a bad rap, because that looks pretty bad. That's disappointing.
One last thing that I think is great, you can get trends that were from like 10 years ago on there, which I love that idea of being able to get something that has been worn in like years. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it all comes back. Fashion always comes back.
Yeah, the vintage Levi's aspect I think is really cool of that store. Oh, they're doing Everlane. I did not know that they were gonna do Everlane. I have videos that dig a bit more into Everlane. I have a whole testing video where I compare Everlane to some other sustainable brands. I will link that up in the cards. I do not consider Everlane to be a sustainable or ethical brand. They have really improved their sustainability in the last few years. I do want to give them credit for that, but their whole transparency thing I think is pretty ridiculous. I know Everlane is a really popular brand, but there's a lot better brands that they could have chosen. And I actually have a blog post where I found Everlane alternatives and dupes, which I can link.
All right, you guys, next up we are trying on Everlane brand, and right off the bat, I love it on everybody. It looks good. It looks like really good quality.
It's not good quality. I mean, I can't speak to these pieces. All I've tested is a t-shirt and a pair of jeans from them. The jeans were fine. The t-shirt, in terms of quality, I did not find very great. The fabric in particular was not very good quality. Again, you can check out that video that's linked. But we also have to remember that they do feature a lot of fast fashion brands, so probably compared to a lot of those brands, the quality is pretty decent.
So unlike the other brands that we've tried on, they're not necessarily making their clothes out of water bottles, but it's all about how they choose their factory. They want to make sure that they treat their employees well, that it is good for the environment. So it's more about their manufacturing versus repurposing the clothes.
Yeah, you can see exactly what the money is coming from. So like, normally a shirt, I guess, could cost 10 cents to make, so they're telling you the shirt costs $20 to make, and we're only upcharging it by this much, whereas normal retailers upcharge like 3 times the amount.
I like the transparency.
Okay, that's my big issue with Everlane, is that they market themselves as being this radically transparent brand, but their transparency is so lacking. They provide very little information about the ethics of their factories and what they're actually doing in terms of sustainability. Most of the sustainability information they have on their website is about what they're doing at their head office, so saying things like we use reusable water bottles, but that is not the main part of your impacts. Like, we want to know what's happening in your factories. And so there's just this huge disconnect between them talking about how transparent they are and then how transparent they actually are.
I do think some of the styles on the website are not necessarily my personal style, but there are a lot of really good staple pieces. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Everlane makes really minimal basics, and you can find a lot of other actually sustainable brands that make those products too.
Warm.
Yeah.
You got this awesome coat and this shirt's from there too,
I
right?
curated this outfit so it's like my future self. You're gonna pay for a really nice winter coat. I feel like you want to spend that extra dollar and go with something where you know the quality is just gonna kill
This jacket
it.
is everything.
Again, I don't know what the quality of that coat is, but I feel like based on the other pieces that I've seen that it's not great. It's probably fine, but maybe it is really good quality.
If you are a fast fashion consumer, we all are guilty of that. Don't feel bad if you can't afford these clothes.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is a time and a place where you can spend a little bit more money and invest in something.
Really good point.
Definitely, that is a really good point. But something else I want to add to that is there are so many ways to have a sustainable wardrobe outside of what brands you're buying. So things like buying clothes that you know you're going to get a lot of wear from, taking care of your clothes so they actually last, making sure they are properly disposed of or go to another home, and understanding your personal style and building a wardrobe around pieces that you love wearing and want to wear for years, and not just pieces that you're wearing for a season or two. So with sustainable fashion, we focus a lot on what brands are sustainable, but sustainable fashion is a whole mindset that goes into clothing consumption and breaking that fast fashion mindset of constantly needing new and different clothes. And I have tons of videos more about that if you're interested. And I also have an ebook on how to quit fast fashion, and it's about all the different aspects of slow fashion and sustainable fashion.
We want to give you guys options. Like,
Yeah.
I know as a viewer, even of YouTube, I like knowing what my options are. Sometimes I only see fast fashion, so this is a great chance for you guys to be introduced to like a bunch of new brands that are ethical and environmentally friendly.
If you watch my channel, you probably know how I feel about H&M's Conscious Collection. I know that H&M is kind of a go-to for sustainable fashion because they have done such a good job of marketing their Conscious line. But as we'll get into, I think it is just greenwashing.
And round, we look like this is the closest we're gonna come to going to the Met Gala.
These are super cute pieces though.
So H&M was one of the first mainstream brands to do sustainable, reusable fashion, and their goal and their mission is to have every single piece of item of clothing on their shelf be completely sustainable by 2030.
One of my big issues with H&M is how many times they have set these goals and promises and then they never reach them. They just end up setting another goal. So for example, in 2012 or 2013, H&M made this pledge that they were going to pay all of their garment workers a living wage by 2018. And 2018 came and went, and all of their garment workers are not making a living wage, and they were very quiet about this. They posted some statement about how it was like harder than they thought it was going to be, which for a huge company like H&M, which has all these resources, if they want to do something, they can do it. But a pledge or a goal like this looks great in marketing. It's super cool to say, we are going to be entirely sustainable, or we are going to pay all of our garment workers a living wage. But based on their track record, they are totally fine with breaking those promises and pledges, so I would definitely take anything they say with a huge grain of salt.
You'll take your clothes, you drop them off, they strip all the fabric, and they clean it, and they reassemble it into other sustainable clothes. And I think sometimes they give you coupons.
So only a small percentage of the clothes given to H&M actually get recycled. A lot of them get sold. But to their credit, they are doing a lot in terms of recycling and trying to recycle more. Also, because they give you coupons to buy more clothes when you give back your clothes, it is just feeding that fast fashion cycle where fast fashion brands need you to consume a huge amount of product in order for their business model to work, which is just inherently unsustainable. And so while this appears really cool and sustainable that they take back clothes and recycle them, it is still part of an incredibly unsustainable business model.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy to think that these dresses were made out of someone's jeans or t-shirt.
So it's a very fun editorial, like runway, red carpet.
I love it. I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
The only note that I have is it is a little itchy. Honestly, when you look this cute.
That is a very cute dress, but are you gonna get 30 wears from that dress? I don't know, to me that's the kind of dress that you rent for a special event, because I know I would never get enough wears to actually make that a sustainable purchase.
I feel like I'm about to have like this runway moment.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that they made this out of other clothes.
So when it comes to recycled synthetics, it actually is often not made out of other clothes. I would need to do a little bit more research into H&M synthetic. It's often made out of PET, which is like recycled water bottles or fishing nets. There are a lot of difficulties with recycling clothes in terms of quality, and with synthetics you have blends of different things, and so getting it back to a pure form to turn back into a fiber can be a very difficult process. I don't know how much of that is actually recycled clothing.
Really great dress. You're doing something nice for the environment. My perspective has totally changed about sustainable fashion. It's not boring. It's very exciting. It's very fashionable.
That's great to hear. I love that they didn't just bust out a bunch of really boring clothes and perpetuate that stereotype that sustainable fashion is some very like hippie granola, super plain kind of style. There is a huge range of styles.
I'm really excited about this brand. It's called Rothy's. I've seen it also being advertised to me relentlessly on Instagram. They don't have clothes, but they do sell accessories, shoes, bags. So they're all made out of plastic materials. So everything here is sustainable, washable. I think most of these materials come within like 30 miles of the coastline.
So I know less about Rothy's than I do the other brands, but from what I can tell, they make a pretty decent product and are a pretty decent brand. But yeah, I haven't done a ton of digging into them.
They're sturdy.
They look like they could survive the apocalypse.
And they're machine washable, which I think is really cool.
I also think it's very cool that their shoes are machine washable.
It's just thick. Nice and thick. And I don't know, there's something about like comfort when you have things that you use that are like durable.
Yes.
Like this isn't gonna rip, it's not gonna break, it could go through something.
I think we were all kind of expecting to feel differently about the shoes, and we all put them on and we were like, wait, do we really like these shoes?
Looking at them, I thought it was that material that wouldn't give it all, but they're stretchy.
They're stretchy.
So I haven't personally tried their shoes, but I have heard really good things about their shoes being very comfortable.
The best part too is that you can wash them, because I feel like I always get makeup on my bags or dirt from like, I set my purse on the ground, which I know you're not supposed to do, but you know, if you set this down and it gets stained, I love that you could just pop it in the wash and it's good to go. I love this bag so much. I just wish that I could afford it.
Yeah, these are a little pricey, but I feel like of all the brands that we've tried so far, this is the most sustainable.
I would agree with that of all the brands they've tried, this is the most sustainable brand.
I mean, to take plastic that is clearly like destroying our environment and salvage all of that and repurpose it, to me, I feel like that's at least worth the price tag. That wraps up all of the sustainable brands for today. Let us know if you want to see another episode of this very concept. But I feel really like enlightened about things that I was kind of skeptical about before.
Yeah, I can't say I knew a ton of sustainable clothing brands offhand. I didn't even realize H&M and like brands like Levi we already had heard of had stuff like that. I'm happy to know them.
Same. And again, I know you guys want us to do more of these videos, so I hope we keep just trying different things, you know?
Me too.
Yeah, I love it. So let us know what other brands we should be shopping sustainably from.
Yeah, it would be great to see them do more of these videos, and I would love to see them cover more brands that are less known but a lot more sustainable and ethical. Okay, so to kind of recap, I actually was pleasantly surprised with this video in terms of them showcasing a variety of styles. You know, we all start our sustainable slow fashion journey somewhere, and I think this is a great start. And a lot of those brands like Levi's or H&M I think are good gateway brands where it makes you realize like, hey, okay, this is sustainable. So what about all of these other products? What are they made from? Where were they made? My hope is that having sustainable products available at places like H&M just gets people thinking a bit more about what's going on in the fashion industry and how these products are made. But having said that, there are so many incredible sustainable brands out there, brands that are doing really amazing things in terms of recycling, in terms of producing very sustainably, and in terms of empowering their workers, paying fair wages. And even though sustainability sustainable fashion is still a niche, there are honestly styles for everybody, and it keeps improving and getting better. You know, 5-10 years ago, there wasn't nearly the amount of sustainable fashion as there is now. So I'm so glad that they are talking about this, and it sounds like they did learn a lot about sustainable fashion from this, which is fantastic. I really hope they do more videos like this. And I also hope that you guys maybe take away from this that commenting and requesting people to talk more about sustainable fashion does work, and this is proof of that. The more that we can talk about it, the more that we can learn from each other, the more we can inspire each other and show different sustainable outfits, whether it's secondhand or clothes you made yourself or clothes that you bought from sustainable brands or clothes that you've had and worn for a very long time. Whatever it is, having any and all conversations about sustainable fashion is fantastic, and how we're going to get more awareness and more people on board, because that's how change is going to happen in the fashion industry. So yeah, even though they included some brands that I personally wouldn't have, I still think it was cool to see them talking about this. This was totally an impromptu video and not at all the style I usually do, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Thank you so much to those of you supporting me on Patreon, and I'll see you in the next one.